Hi there, everyone. It's Sunday evening. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wintz. We have a lot to talk about tonight, weather-wise, coming up in just this week. We don't even need to go out 10 to 15 days to see some very active weather. The first and foremost is going to move in tonight with our first system. This is going to bring lots of rain, wind, and yeah, there's a threat for severe weather with this as well. We'll explain. I'll let you know exactly my thoughts. I know there's some stuff going around on social media about this as well. Tornado threat in February. Well, we'll talk it out here. Also, I know we've been in search of winter over the last 4 months, but it does look like there are at least some signs that we could have a big winter storm somewhere around here as we get in the latter half of the week. So we're going to take you through the latest model runs tonight. We'll explain it all for you. Again, lots to cover here on our last broadcast in the month of February. How about that? We'll let some people join us. We're a couple minutes early. We'll run our open, and then we'll be back with the forecast here on our Sunday evening edition of Region Weather Live. Good YouTube channel. Ginny, thanks for joining us on YouTube as well. Tomorrow is your daughter's birthday. Well, it's going to be a washout unless you're doing a late afternoon birthday or evening, which is mainly when people get together if you're having some folks over. If not, she'll have improving conditions throughout the day. So I hope she enjoys that. Don Z, thanks for joining us as well. Nora, hi to you. And good evening to you guys. All right, so it's Sunday night. I hope you had a nice weekend. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer to spring. You can feel it. Temperatures warming up a little bit. We haven't had a bad winter. We all know that. But we've got a couple tastes of spring this week, and then we have a taste of winter on the backside of it. Just an incredible forecast here as we have pretty much everything coming at us. So I want to jump into it here. First and foremost, want to thank our sponsors that keep the show for free. What you can do would support them. We have a wonderful string of sponsors on this show. And their run big camp started actually back in February with their mobile advocacy program. This all is around domestic violence. I know that's not something fun to talk about, but it's a big issue. 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men will encounter. Wow, I just had peanuts earlier. That's not the thing to eat before you go on. Anyway, they will encounter some sort of domestic violence in their lifetime, and it's something that a lot of people deal with that we really don't talk about. So they just want you to get the word out. St. Jude House is present in Northwest Indiana and doing big things with their mobile advocacy program, where they've got a safe place that you can meet up, coffee shop, whatever it is, to discuss what you need. And they'll take care of you. They'll obviously house you if you need, or anyone that you know of. If you go to their website, stjudehouse.org, they have the emergency number you can call there as well, and they have all sorts of information. So check them out. Our other sponsor, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. We love them. They've been our sponsor for over a year now, and our partnership continues. So we just love them. Discovery Travel, if you're looking to get out of town, that's our local travel agency. If you haven't used a travel agency before, I recommend doing it because they take all of the guesswork and planning out of your trip. You let them know what you'd want, and they find you the best deals. They package it all up. And a lot of times you'll save money on that, which is huge. It's Discovery Travel, TRVL.com. Ewing Mechanical Services, everything HVAC related. My furnace just kicked on here because it's cold here in my studio. And I'll tell you, it's running great, thankfully. But if yours isn't running great, Ewing Mechanical Service will take care of that for you. It's Ewing, MECH, and that's on Facebook and over on obviously the internet as well. And then finally, Tiger Plumbing, our favorite plumbers here in Northwest Indiana, tigerplumbing.net. They come out for free. We've had so many people that have used Tiger Plumbing. They're a fan favorite here. So give them a call if you have any drips or anything going on that's not right with your pipes, okay? All right, so here's what we're dealing with in terms of the setup right now across the country. You can see this area out west. You see this big old swirl. This was that monster storm system that dove into California. They had anywhere from 40 to 60 inches of snow with 60-mile-per-hour winds up in the mountains, the southern Sierras. They had flooding rains in LA and San Diego. This was the same storm that caused the San Diego National Weather Service to issue blizzard warnings for the first time in decades up in the mountains. Just an incredible storm. And it's all due to the swirl. It was a very tight area of low pressure, a very strong area of low pressure. And you could see how it came across California. Well, now over the week, and as that same area of energy kind of jumped over the Rocky Mountains, it's the Southern Rockies, so it's not too, big terrain. The energy heads over the mountains, comes out in the Southern Plains, and it starts to tap into Gulf of Mexico moisture. And that's what we're seeing happen across portions of Oklahoma. So here's where the severe weather is tonight. You notice the moderate risk across Oklahoma. There's a slight risk all the way up to near St. Louis. Pretty big area of severe weather tonight. The marginal risk heading into areas of southwestern Illinois. For us, we're not expecting severe weather tonight, but you notice where this is on the map. Typically, when you have severe weather here, it's coming our way. And that's going to be the case. Couple things on our side for this. And again, this is tomorrow morning that our severe weather threat is. I don't think it's a huge threat. I'll show you actually what the Storm Prediction Center is saying in terms of the outlook. You can see this just south of us, down towards Indianapolis. If this is going to load, maybe, there you go. And they're under a slight risk. Our southern counties, Newton, Jasper County, are right on that border of the slight risk. Bottom line, there's a threat. Further south you get is where the threat gets a little bit higher. So there's that. But this is going to be for damaging winds and the potential for an isolated tornado tomorrow early in the day. Kind of weird, right? But again, this system's been very powerful. It's done some pretty amazing things in terms of what a system can do out west in terms of wind damage, the flooding, the snow. So I wouldn't rule it out that we could have some severe weather around here tomorrow morning. But again, it's further south that you are. So if you're in Lakeport or LaPorte counties, our threat is much less than it is for Newton, Jasper counties. And those counties are much less than it is down towards Indianapolis. So keep that in mind. But this is tomorrow morning. This is not an afternoon or evening thing. So that's really one of the things on our side with this is the fact that this is going to come in the morning. There's not a ton of instability. Not that we get a lot of instability to this time of year, but it's one of those things that we just have to watch. The threat isn't going to go gangbusters around here, but we have to watch some of these storms. So a couple things tomorrow, and this is really the first thing I want us to focus on. There's a lot of different things we could focus on this week. The first one's this system and getting it through here. So this is going to be our wind maker. So we're going to have gusty winds with this throughout the day tomorrow, especially in the morning and then in the evening behind the front. We're also going to have heavy rain with this again. And this is what we highlighted over the last couple of days is the fact that we're going to have heavy rain on top of saturated ground. We had all that rain with that last system. This one's going to bring probably another inch to inch and a half of rainfall across everywhere in Northwest Indiana. So we've got that to contend with, the rain. There's a wind component. And then we've got this little severe weather component mixed in there as well. So let's take you through it. Here's the modeling now. You can see how this kind of evolves. Here's your severe weather tonight back towards Oklahoma, areas of Kansas. You notice there's a squall line of warm front, and this continues to track north. So we bring heavy rain in here for that morning rush hour, likely soaking downpours. There'll probably be some thunder and lightning in that as well. This isn't where our severe weather threat is with this warm front. The severe weather threat is right here with the cold front that follows about 2 hours later. So timing wise, we're talking 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning where we get this decaying squall line in here that could have some damaging winds, maybe a spit up tornado with this as well, and more heavy rain. All right. That moves through. We should be done with all this by midday, early afternoon. So 1, 2 o'clock, we should be wrapping this up. We're bringing in colder air from the northwest and temperatures will start to drop a little bit out ahead of their peak. I mean, they're going to peak tomorrow morning. We'll likely be in the 50s for some time. So that system heads out and there's really nothing to worry about. All right. So that's what we're dealing with this system. Again, rain moves in, some rumbles of thunder overnight, but then it's tomorrow morning. This initial rain is going to hit probably around midnight. Midnight 1, 2, there's 3, 4, 5. We're getting heavy rain. And then we deal with that severe threat later in the morning. Okay. So pretty rainy tomorrow morning. Severe threat, though, I do want to. This is why I'm not too impressed with the severe threat. What do I want to show you? So this is surface-based CAPE. So CAPE, remember, is the juju in the atmosphere. All right, that's how much energy the atmosphere has. These numbers aren't usually off the chart this time of year, and they're certainly not. As this comes in, there's just a little bit of CAPE, maybe 500 to 700 joules per kilogram. Bottom line, what that means is we're not going to have a lot of atmospheric energy. There's not a lot of reason for the air to lift outside of the actual frontal boundary and the low pressure itself. So that number's not off the chart. So that tells us that we're not going to have these big, robust thunderstorms. We're going to have kind of low top thunderstorms. The other thing I want to look at, though, is the Cape with the shear. And what shear is the twisting of winds with height, okay? There's shear all the time in the atmosphere. You're here at the surface, you've got a wind coming from one direction. As you go up into the clouds, you've got a wind coming from another direction. That's called directional shear, right? Things are changing direction with height. So as that cloud builds up into that, you can tend to get swirling winds with that, bottom line, right? There's also speed shear, which is maybe we have light wind here at the surface, and then we've got really strong wind up above. That also creates kind of a tumbling, rolling effect in the atmosphere. So that's a different kind of shear you can get. Both shears produce thunderstorms that can lead to, the threat of tornadoes with them if you have thunderstorms. So we do have to contend with that. And what we are dealing with tomorrow is directional shear. And these numbers aren't off the chart either, but they're there. And that's why we have that threat. And it's very, very tiny of, perhaps a spin-up tornado. And that would be tomorrow morning, again, primarily south. And the reason why is because there's more shear down towards Indianapolis, okay? So kind of a squirrely system to watch. This is going to be embedded in a lot of rainfall. It's not going to be something pretty where you see a round supercell coming our way or anything like that. We're likely going to have some kind of line of heavy rain with embedded cells in that. And again, I don't think everyone's going to see severe weather tomorrow morning. This is going to be a very isolated thing if we do, but it'd be gusty winds, damaging winds with some of these storms because we've got strong jet stream capability with this. And again, there's that small threat for a spin-up tornado. We'll be on it. Again, we're on the radio side of things on X-Rock, India on 105.5 and Z107. We're on there, keeping you covered in the mornings and in the afternoon as well. And we'll pass along an update tomorrow morning as well. We're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that. So nothing to worry about there, but just want to give you a heads up. Then that all heads out of here, okay? So that's that. So we covered tomorrow's system, I think, well, again, inch to an inch and a half of rainfall. It's going to be a very rainy, soggy morning rush hour. That will continue through noon. We might get a little break between warm front and cold front. Mild temperatures to start. Temperatures kind of fall back tomorrow evening, back into the 40s, okay? So that's what we're dealing with, at least on that first front tomorrow. Windy rainmaker, small threat of severe weather. That's that, okay? Once that heads out, things get interesting this week for several reasons. We've got a really nice spring-like day around here on Wednesday, and here's why. So here's our system tomorrow. The system heads out, but it heads out instead of dragging in colder air behind it. We get a little bit cooler, but by and large, the system is moving from basically west to east and actually a little southwest to northeast. So it doesn't bring in cold air. It kind of keeps the air the same, and then we bounce back with another frontal boundary that comes in here Wednesday. So the warm air doesn't get far off from us Monday night into Tuesday. So it's close by. We just need something to drag it in. So Tuesday looks good. We'll probably see decreasing clouds. It'll be a mild day on Tuesday. I've got us in the 40s. Yeah, I think upper 40s. Should be a nice day on Tuesday between these systems. But then you get this little area of low pressure in here. And again, this is a weak one, but this is the thing that takes that warm air that's just south of us, kind of pulls it up a little bit. So I could see us in the 50s, maybe even 60s for our southern counties on Wednesday. With a chance of some morning rain, some clouds around, but I do think we'll break out into sunshine, at least for a period on Wednesday. Wednesday doesn't look too bad, and it looks spring-like, all right? Once that goes by, here's where things get interesting. A low pressure develops out towards our east. We were looking last Sunday, we were looking at the potential for some kind of bigger storm system this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all right? It was still too far out to talk about. We could look at it, but it's too far out to predict and say exactly what's going to happen with it. The models still have that, and we're still going to have some kind of storm system Thursday, Friday. So it looks like it's in two waves. We'll have wave one kind of go by, and there won't be much with us because it'll develop out towards our east. But this wave one's important because once it goes by, there's cold air off towards our north. Remember, we're in the warm air Wednesday. Once the low goes by, it takes the warm air with it, and as it develops out east, it'll start to pull in some of that colder air. So what we'll do on Thursday is we'll bring colder air in from Canada. Not a lot of impacts weather-wise, but we're getting colder outside. I've got us in the upper 30s on Thursday, okay? On Friday, we're going to continue that process with the new low that develops down towards the south. You can see it here. This is Thursday night into Friday. This is a strong low, all right? And the models have been forecasting this low for some time, but again, they haven't decided what track it was on. But things are coming into play now where this low is actually going to be south of us. Last week, it looked like this low was going to take a similar track to the previous systems, and we get all rain from this, all right? But the last couple model runs, and then one on Wednesday. So we had one on Wednesday that showed it south. It kind of bumped north Thursday, Friday. But then Saturday, yesterday, and then today, we started to see the southerly track, and the models are starting to align on this. And this is what it looks like as of right now. Later this week, again, this is Thursday and especially Friday, we're going to have an area of low pressure that's very strong down towards Arkansas, somewhere down in the Tennessee Valley. Severe weather is likely on the southern end of that, likely a tornado outbreak, because this is going to be a compact low with a lot of warmth and moisture on the southern end. But remember, we took that cold air, we dragged it in, so we've got cold air in place at this point. Is it cold enough to make this all snow? The potential's there for that. And this is what the latest Euro says, is that this low develops, you've got severe weather south, and looky here, we've got a snowstorm. A snowstorm in winter. Imagine that, right? That's further south. And this would bring some really decent snow. Remember, this time of year is different than January snowstorms because this time of year we're playing with Gulf of Mexico moisture and we're dealing with lots of heat. So it's 70s and 80s down towards the south. That air holds a ton of moisture. So that means this storm's got a lot more moisture. That's how we get the really big snowstorms this time of year. So this brings a real decent snow stretching from Pennsylvania back through Ohio down towards St. Louis. All right. This is the Euro. Okay. I like the Euro. I always like the Euro. So when it's saying this, we need to take this seriously. All right. Because this could be a decent chance at some kind of snowstorm. The Euro, however, keeps most of the snow actually south of here. So the region doesn't get much from this. But the thing with the Euro, if you've been with me long enough, is hopefully I've taught you this. The Euro tends to correct northwest, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but it tends to correct northwest a little bit over time. So if it were to correct northwest this week over the next, 6, 7 model runs, whatever it happens to be, that would bring a heavy strip of snow through the region. All right. And then that eventually heads out. We're colder back behind it. I mean, that's a good snow right there. Let me show you a couple other models. And here's why, because they're all a little different still. Okay. The GFS does not have as big of a snowstorm, and it's a little bit different track to it as well. So you can see it's got more of the rain component in here on the northwest side. However, it goes right through northwest Indiana. And actually, you know what? This is different than the 12Z. This is a new 18Z. And the GFX actually has ramped up that snow a little bit. So we're seeing this for the first time together. And it's got real good snow right over northwest Indiana. This would be Friday into Saturday. So that's different. Yeah, 12Z was further south. So that's a decent snow. And then let's look at the Canadian. This is the last one that we want to look at. The Canadian had a smaller system. And let's see if this is the latest run of this too. This is the one I saw. Yeah, see how it's got a little bit smaller system. The snow's further down to the south. There's some icing in there. We don't get anything out of it, says the Canadian. Okay. Let's just, for fun, because we're, within 6 days of this, let's start looking at some amounts. Okay. And this is going to be, again, mainly a Friday system, but Friday into Saturday. So here's the Canadian model, which wasn't that impressed with it. No snow here, maybe a trace, maybe 1, 2, 3 inches down toward Indianapolis, heavier amounts to get over towards Richmond, Indiana, back into the Ohio, the Dayton area. But let's look at the more interesting models here, the ones that I trust a little bit more. This is the Euro. All right. This isn't it. This doesn't go far enough, so don't worry about that. We'll go back to the 12Z. So here's the Euro run, and we'll take it through the actual snow, which is right here. And that's a decent storm. I mean, the Euro is saying wherever this system goes, that there's at least a foot of snow to contend with, right? It has, lesser amounts, obviously, northwest Indiana, because that further south track. But I'm just pushing out some, 12, 15, 17-inch totals out of this. And again, that could change a little bit. We've, seen some high totals this winter off of the Euro that have kind of tampered down a little bit. But I want to show you the GFS now that we're both looking at this newest run for the first time. This is going to have pretty good snow over us. Yeah, it's got 4 to 8 inches. So that's not too big. Oh, just kidding. It has some more snow on Saturday. So that's got a good foot of snow right over the heart of northwest Indiana. So what are we going to do at this point? Do we need to buy all the bread up? We don't. Do we need to buy all the milk up? Well, if you're out of milk, yes. But we're going to keep an eye on this, all right? Just kind of put it in the back of your head for now that Friday and Saturday, we may be dealing with some kind of storm that could put us on the wintry side of things, okay? So that's where we stand right now. Looking long-term behind this, it does look like it quiets down just a little bit. I don't see any huge warm-ups in the forecast. We've got these bumps in temps like we've had really over the next 10, 15 days where, we get a day of 50s, maybe even 60s, and then we cool back down to 30s, 40s. Overall, no Arctic air masses. We kind of do steady as she goes temperature-wise here as we go throughout the week. So go ahead and ask your questions. Just to recap for those that just joined, for those that just want a quick summary to get out of here, we got two systems this week. First one arrives tonight and tomorrow. It's going to have a lot of rain with it. It's going to be very rainy as you're out the door tomorrow morning. We're going to have some wind around as well. Temperatures are going to be warm tomorrow morning as well. We'll likely make it into the 50s. There is a small threat for severe weather tomorrow morning. This will run all the way up till about midday. So anytime in the morning through midday, we could have a severe thunderstorm that produces maybe some strong winds. There's a small threat for tornadoes. That threat is higher further south just because there's some shear in the atmosphere. Other than that, just going to be wet, like soggy, heavy rain, inch to inch and a half, okay? That system heads out, we quiet down. Tuesday looks great. We'll probably start with clouds, bring back some sunshine, probably upper 40s near 50. I think Wednesday looks great as well. We'll probably have some clouds mixed with sunshine. I think we can do 60 on Wednesday, and that'll be a sharp contrast between north and south. We'll probably have 50s in the Gary area, probably 60s from Valpo south, and we're talking 70s as you get downstate into areas of Ohio. So that'll have kind of a fine line with it. Thursday, we start to watch this next storm system move in. And then Thursday night into Friday, wherever this storm goes, are we on the snowy side of this? Will it correct north and we get some rain and then snow? We'll see. But the potential is there for a big snow around here. And this would be Friday and Saturday of this coming week. Okay. And we'll have updates throughout the week for you. So I really don't worry about this next system yet. Let's get through tomorrow first. Okay. With the rain, and then we can start to hone in on that next system. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's answer your questions, and then we'll get today. I noticed, despite all my efforts, that I would imagine, because I keep every now and then I'll cut out on here, I noticed the internet is not ideal. I will continue to work on getting that fixed because that frustrates me beyond nothing else. I would like to have a good presentation for you, and if it's cutting out, it's 2023. We ought to have good internet. So here we go. BC, thanks for joining us. Absolutely. Hope you're doing well. Philip says tornado watch in Oklahoma. Yeah, Oklahoma's going to get rocked here over the next couple hours with the storm system that's coming our way. We get a lot of leftovers off of that, but they'll probably still have some thunderstorm capability with them. Gail's with us. Sarah's happy about the snow. Ruth wants some snow. Erica's enjoying snow or enjoying 50s, doesn't want snow. Dave, you're welcome for sharing your Sunday evening with you. I wouldn't have it any other way. I really look forward to this. Oh, great. Danielle's got a birthday dinner on Friday. Oh, no. Well, we'll see. Danielle, this whole thing could miss us and we end up with no snow. All right. So that's the potential. It's going to be a very fine line. I mean, you see it here on the map, how quick of a cutoff it is from 12 inches to 1 inch, right? So we just have to line this thing up. The strength of the system still not determined yet on the model. So this could end up being, 3 to 6 inch or wherever it goes. But we have to take it seriously when we see numbers like this and say, okay, the potential's there for some kind of decent snow somewhere, the way the system lines up. Mark, our chances for snow dwindle in March, but we can still get snowstorms, and they're like this. They're just like this, where we can easily get, 6 to 10 incher. And the reason why, Mark, is because there's more moisture available in March, because we're really warming up down towards the south. And remember, warm air holds more moisture. That cold air that we get in January when we had that frigid outbreak back towards Christmas, actually, it was so cold that the air didn't hold much moisture. So there were really tiny snowflakes. It didn't add up to much. In this time of year, we can get real heavy, wet snows, almost convective-like it's a thunderstorm of snow, because the air is just warmer, not just here, but up above us and down south. The origin of the air is a lot warmer. So for sure. Let's see. Any big winds this week? Susan, we'll have some gusty winds with this system. Tomorrow morning, we'll have gusts likely over 35 at times. Could be stronger in some of these, showers, the heavier downpours that we have, because they can tap into the jet stream. And then it'll be gusty tomorrow afternoon and evening as the cooler air comes back in. Outside of that, looks pretty quiet until this system later in the week. That will probably have some winds with it as well. And all the wind, whenever we get strong wind, that's because the low pressure is strong. So if you ever see a low with lots of lines around it, that just tells you that you've got a lot of wind with that system as well. Great question, though. Yeah, Maxwell, signs are that March is going to be kind of cold around here. Again, we were looking at February thinking it was going to be a cold month as well. So I'm kind of tongue in cheek when I say that, but a lot of modeling, and you can go back and look at analogs, from past years that had a February like we had, because there have been Februaries like we just had. It's not crazy to have all these mild temperatures, but you can look at Februaries that have had, years like this and that have had comparable Januaries. You can match all this stuff and stuff up against history, and see what kind of result you get in March. More often than not, you have a cold month in March. And that seems to be our way our winters have been going, is that the winter not only starts later, but over the last 4 or 5 years, they've been hanging around where we're ready for it to warm up and it just stays cool to cold at times, March, April, and then May. It's like we bounce out, May 20th, around there. It's cold, cold, cold. Then all of a sudden it's 90. So we'll see what happens in terms of this. Andrew's keeping his snowblower on. So yeah, Andrew was selling a snowblower. I don't know if he had any offers. Yeah, Andrew, it seems like it's off the market. That's good. Okay, just keep it for, you just got to shine it up, get it ready for sale again. And Jeff says the snow will miss us as usual. Jeff, I'm leaning that way as well, my friend, just because that's what happens all the time, right? So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting for sure. And that's why I love weather so much. I hope that's why you guys love weather so much, because we try our best to predict it, but everything's different and it's always different and it's always changing. So this will be exciting to watch. Danielle, absolutely. Maxwell, it is a negatively tilted low for sure. And that's half the reason why they're going to get such severe weather down towards the south, with that energy coming in and that low being kind of back, with the colder air rushing out ahead of it. So very interesting. Okay, so I think that's it, everybody. I appreciate you joining me here on this Sunday night. I hope you had a nice weekend. I know we kind of got down to business pretty quickly here today, but I think we'll be talking a lot more this week. We'll do some live broadcasts as needed out ahead of this system later this week. We'll be on it tomorrow morning, and don't forget to catch us on our radio stations around the region on your way to work or on your way home to work. We've got your forecast for you, okay? All right, have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon, okay? All right, bye.